Cobra Kai is one of the most successful legacy series ever made, with creators that respect the source material, to actors not phoning it in, and awesome action sequences. There's no surprise that this show garnered a massive following. With the final season releasing its last episodes over this past month, I decided to take a step back and look at every season as a whole, and see where they all stack up against each other. If you know me by now, you know how I love to rank things, so in today's video, I'm going to be ranking each season of Cobra Kai to see which season ranks among the best. And stay till the end, since I'll be ranking all of season 6 and its 3 parts. So without further ado, there's no mercy in this dojo. Let's dive in to Cobra Kai. Season 1, the good old days. Back when the show was basically unknown because the first 2 seasons were on YouTube Red. Real ones watched this show before the hype of Netflix. Season 1 of Cobra Kai is such a refreshing season to go back to. It's the building blocks for success that the show carries on. It's back for years to come. So many references, so many callbacks. It's just a full send into paying homage to this 80s classic, and it's done so well. This season takes Johnny Lawrence, a guy nobody thought would get past the 80s villain trope, and becomes a full-fledged character with actual layers. And it was done impressively. It's interesting seeing him try and live a life, see how his life deteriorated after losing the All Valley in '84. And what's funny is that you may think this guy ruined his life over karate. And trust me, future seasons go crazy with this mindset. But in this season, you actually understand how his life fell apart because of Daniel's victory, which I thought was cool. We also get introduced to Miguel, the best legacy character in the show, in my opinion, who builds this growing relationship with this broken Johnny, teaching Miguel how to be a badass and a strong person, turning him from a walking nerd to a champion. The Cobra Kai dojo influencing other kids was awesome. Seeing Eli become Hawk was top tier, and this was the start of a really cool character. I liked the use of Daniel as an antagonistic figure in this season too. It's very easy to see Daniel as the hero because of the original movies, but when you see things from Johnny's perspective, it's kind of crazy how much Daniel interfered and continues to interfere in Johnny's life. Miguel growing close to Sam was nice too. I also thought Johnny's son Robbie, who Johnny took for granted and didn't provide for as much as he should have, found a job at Miyagi-Do and became a student there. Just interesting flips on tropes from the original 80s films. However, the karate doesn't become dull at any point. It was cool seeing these kids do their own stunts for the most part and actually fight. The final All Valley sports fight was intense and really fun, especially for the legacy characters, but also for the senseis who want to live through their students. Like I mentioned before, this show takes massive homage to the originals, but not in a way that feels blatantly copied. The show embraces its similarities while changing things up to make it refreshing. This first season is so incredibly well made, and the down-to-earth moments between Johnny and Miguel are easily my favorite part of the season. This season is easily S tier for me. I don't really have any complaints for it. Season 2 escalates all of the drama that unfolded in the first season and amplifies it tenfold. There's a lot to love in these earlier seasons, and season 2 is also really, really good. Johnny's continued teachings at Cobra Kai are great, but also seeing him start to realize his harsher teachings are a bad example for his kids was nice, slowly starting to see him grow over time. However, pairing that realization with Kreese, someone who blatantly pushes the mindset that harshness is needed to survive, was great. He's so over the top in bad guy vibes, but it just works so well in this show. Even Miguel, Johnny's closest student, shows his bad guy persona a bit here. I think this season is probably the closest we've ever seen to a fully turned bad Miguel with full angst, and it shows. The angst is palpable. I love the introduction to Tori, someone who becomes such a well-written character in the future, but adds some great chemistry to the team at Cobra Kai. Also, Peyton List and Jacob Bertrand, who plays Hawk, lived rent-free in my childhood, so I got a soft spot for him. Speaking of Hawk though, Red Hawk is so peak, man. This era of Hawk is missed greatly. I loved how pissed off he was the whole time. His drama with Dimitri was kind of annoying at times, especially near the end. Hawk should have never lost to Dimitri, but I loved the tension it brought to every scene they had prior. Johnny's relationship with Miguel's mom was great too, and I particularly loved the one episode where they go out to eat and end up having a good time with the LaRussos, you know, building those blocks to forming a healthier relationship that you see later on in the series. Pairing their bond with the tensions of the Miyagi-Do students and the Cobra Kai kids was just, I mean, Robbie dating Sam, Tori dating Miguel, Hawk stealing Mr. Miyagi's medal and trashing Miyagi-Do, and then the peak of all peak fights in this series to this day, the school fight. I mean, Where do I begin? This fight is absolutely incredible. Tori and Sam going at it, all the background randoms of each dojo going at it. We don't speak about Hawk and Dimitri. But the cherry on top was Miguel and Robbie's duel. Miguel taking Johnny's advice and sparing Robbie because he didn't want to do what he did to him in the tournament. But Robbie disobeying Miyagi's teachings and showing no mercy by kicking Miguel off the railing. Let me just say, this whole scene had the Cobra Kai community in a chokehold for 2 years until season 3 finally released. Crazy times, man. Another standout fight was the forest fight between Miguel and Hawk. Easily the two best fighters of the show, going for each other's heads when they were at their peak angst. Awesome. Stingray was a great addition to the cast too, and another great episode this season was Johnny meeting his former Cobra Kai friends. It was a really nice tribute. Overall, this season was incredible too. I'd also put this season in S tier. It's great from start to finish, and I have no complaints at all for this season either. This is probably as good a follow-up to Season 2 as you could get. Season 3 has so many great moments to it that really push the series forward. I remember how hyped the world was for this season because the popularity resurgence this season had after being put on Netflix was astounding. The world was in desperate suspense to know how Miguel and Robbie's stories would continue after the crazy school fight, and I think they did a great job with it. This season found Miguel in the hospital and paralyzed for most of the season, but it brought some great character moments for Johnny, like when they go to a rock concert together, as well as Johnny using his sensei skills to try and get Miguel back on his feet, albeit in some kind of dangerous ways. I feel like this season was great at analyzing many of the characters from an introspective standpoint. Many people involved in the school fight had longing effects hurting them mentally. Sam basically had PTSD the whole season, breaking down over and over again. Hawk was realizing how detrimental his mental state was because of Cobra Kai. Tori was becoming more and more engulfed in dangerous activities, and Robbie became more and more akin to Cobra Kai's teachings due to both Daniel and Johnny forgetting about him and wronging him. However, Johnny learns to become a stronger sensei again from a great speech by Miguel.
You helped a bunch of people and then walked away like a pussy. You're a sensei. It's who you are. If you can't see that, you're blind.
And Daniel remembers how to handle stress from Chosen and Kumiko, which is one of the best episodes of the season, by the way. His journey to Okinawa was awesome. Cobra Kai was peak angst all around this season. Probably the most angsty this show has ever been. The tension this season had was insane. Every time you saw a Cobra Kai member run into a Miyagi student, you knew some crazy shit was about to go down or someone was going to fight. Hawk was at his most deadly this season, and I can't lie, seeing him break Dimitri's arm was kind of hype. I know that's kind of messed up for me to say, but I don't know, he's kind of annoying. Also, seeing Hawk kick the ever-loving shit out of his former bullies was incredible to watch. Oh man, that scene is top tier. Robbie being put in juvie and kicking the ever-loving shit out of everyone in the prison was incredible to watch too, and I love seeing Kreese manipulate Robbie in a vulnerable state of mind, convincing him to join Cobra Kai. I'd say Robbie's descent into becoming a Cobra Kai was really interesting to watch, and Sam's arc were probably my favorites of the kids this season. Allie's cameo episode was very well handled too. It was nice seeing her and Johnny reconnect after so many years. And again, the fights this season were great. The final house fight between Miyagi and Cobra Kai was handled very well, although I'd say Hawk's turn against Cobra Kai was still kind of fast. Throughout the season, you see him slowly start to question the Cobra Kai lifestyle after breaking Dimitri's arm, and it makes sense why. But in the moment, going from I'm gonna ruin these kids' lives to I gotta save Dimitri was kind of fast for me, although I understand why it happened here. But yeah, this season is incredible too. I don't have many negatives, but it is going in A tier overall. Such a great season. Season 4 is one of the few seasons I've remembered, but boy oh boy was I pleasantly surprised. I think the one thing the show always surprises me with is how earnest and progressive they make their characters feel. Each character may come across as cheesy in parts, but then you get hit with some of the most gut-wrenching, down-to-earth scenes ever. As much as I love the adults in this series, the kids definitely shine the most this season. We get an incredible arc for Robbie here, watching him full send the Cobra Kai lifestyle, even mentoring a young student named Kenny, a mirror for what Daniel could have become in the original if he went the Cobra Kai route. I love how it opened up Robbie to understanding how mentorship is hard and raising someone comes with its difficulties, leading to a heartbreaking reconnection with Johnny near the end of the season. Miguel growing closer to Daniel, making Johnny jealous, leading him to drown his sorrows, but then gets hit with an
I love you
from Miguel, only to be met with the most heartbreaking drunk speech Johnny could have said.
I love you too, Robbie.
It's these types of moments where I'm genuinely shocked how good of a show this is. Tori building a connection with Sam's mom so she can better her life was nice too. Hawk going from an insecure, low version of himself since his alt was torn away from him, only to grow and win the All Valley was such a bookend moment for him. Probably the best his character gets. Seeing Silver and Kreese team up to continue this cycle of violence was fun. And I enjoyed that the kids of the show want to learn what's best for themselves and not pick a specific side for their fighting style. Also, the finale of this season was absolutely insane. I love that it goes back to the All Valley. The kids have a ton of great fighting sequences, and Silver not only rigging the competition so he could win, but also abusing Stingray to get Kreese arrested was diabolical. Absolutely insane. I guess my only criticism this season was Anthony LaRusso's character, just because I don't really like him. He's kind of annoying. He falls in that Dimitri realm. And I will say the Johnny and Daniel doing the on again, off again, working together shtick kind of got a little annoying, but all in all, this season has some insane highs, and I'd place it in S tier as well. Yeah, this season loses me a bit. Don't get me wrong, I don't think there's any season that is truly awful or bad for that matter, but season 5 is not my particular favorite. I think it fed into its goofy attributes a little too hard. Now that doesn't mean there's no down-to-earth moments here. I love seeing Daniel go through a rough patch where Johnny was living a good life. It's a flip of the script that we're so used to seeing. I love seeing Johnny battle with being a new father to Miguel's mom. I also love seeing that Miguel and Robbie, his two sons basically, were finally getting along. I also loved Miguel's journey where he learned that Johnny is a better father than his real one could ever be. Even Kreese's prison arc was great, until he fakes his death and reverts back to his old ways. Yeah, I particularly hate this part. It just felt like this season was getting so overwhelmed with characters and people that they needed to pay attention to. Hawk is thrown to the side and gets beaten by Kenny. Shameful. Kreese gets thrown aside too. It felt focused more on spectacle. I mean, the whole final battle is a 30v30 dojo fight, and then the older guys fighting ninjas at Silver's home. I did think it was pretty cool that all of Daniel's antagonists from the original trilogy were all fighting with him at the end though, and I liked that Daniel's paranoia for Silver affected his relationship with his wife, something that I'm shocked she didn't leave him for like the past 4 seasons. I also like seeing Robbie and Toy's relationship build up this season too. However, there's no standout episodes for me this season, and I guess the goofiness kind of overwhelmed me. Throwing this on the tier list, I'm going B tier. I guess the best thing this season did was introduce the Sekai Taikai, which brings us to the series finale season. Yo guys, we are on the road to 10,000 subscribers, so if you like this video, please hit that subscribe button. Once we reach 10K, I'm going to be ranking all of the Harry Potter films, and that's going to be a very fun watch. So get to subscribing. Alright, back to the video. Yeah, well, as someone who thought Season 5 got a little too cheesy, Season 6 Part 1 falls in that realm again. Season 6 was the only season that had 15 episodes. However, it was split into 3 parts of 5, with 3 months in between releases, which is fucking crazy, by the way. As someone who hated the Invincible Season 2 pause, this was way more unbearable. However, I'm not going to let that affect my judgment as much on the show overall. I think this initial part sets up the future parts of the season well enough. I like the stuff that related to the Sekai Taikai. Bringing back Barnes to officiate a challenge was pretty cool. However, the team that originally got sent to the Sekai Taikai was crazy. Ain't no way Dimitri should be a top 5 contestant. I thought the focus on the smaller moments between characters was nice here. For instance, Johnny having to get a job so he can start affording a nicer place for his family, but also for Miguel to go to college. It's also heartwarming seeing Johnny adopt some of Daniel's teachings by obtaining balance. Certain characters dealing with their futures was nice to see. Miguel deciding if he should go to safety school so his mom could save money, or follow his dream of going to Stanford because it can't be a TV show without someone trying to go to a really hard school. Robbie needing the Sekai Taikai so he has a future outside of college. Tori too. Speaking of Tori, she's the best part of this section of the show. Man, seeing her break down after losing her mom was gut-wrenching. Such a well-done moment in the show. And no wonder she joins Cobra Kai after everything. Miyagi-Do was just keeping her down so much. I also really liked the new Cobra Kai team. They were so badass, and their fight scenes were really, really cool. However, there were some things this section I didn't like. For one, the Dimitri Hawk drama was so unnecessary and annoying to watch. A problem that wasn't really that much of a problem was dragged out far too long. The writers definitely had a hard time including Hawk in the show past season 4, and you can tell. I also hated how they did my boy Kenny in the forest chase. Shitting himself? Really? Devin and Dimitri just made me hate them in this scene, and I already hated Dimitri before. Also, every time I kept hearing the Miyagi-Do way, I wanted to smash my computer screen. The Miyagi glaze by this point of the show was despicable. I mentioned before that I liked how Johnny was changing and adopting some of Daniel's attributes. However, I feel like the show tries too hard to make Johnny change instead of making Daniel adopt anything from Johnny at this point in the show, and I felt like Daniel was just kind of talking down to Johnny a lot. But overall, I think Season 6 Part 1 is still pretty entertaining, but it does have its issues too. In my opinion, I'd put Season 6 Part 1 in B tier. Now, the second part of Season 6 brings the whole gang to Barcelona to fight in the Sakai Takai, and the scenery change was awesome to see. For one thing, I really enjoyed seeing everyone in a new environment, seeing the gang head out to bars, walking the beaches, and the show embracing the culture was great, and I thought it was a ton of fun. This part of the show is very action-packed. All 5 episodes are basically filled with karate action, and I enjoyed watching the dojos kick some ass, even though it was mostly Cobra Kai and the Iron Dragons doing it, as the Miyagi-Do kids were in non-stop mental drama for this part of the season. Robbie was incapable of doing anything captain-like this season, and didn't fight well predominantly most of these 5 episodes, because once Tori breaks up with him, his confidence gets shattered like crazy, and honestly, it kind of got unbearable to watch. Like, he loses so much. Hawk and Dimitri's drama just got worse in this part, and was again so unnecessarily stupid and long. However, Miguel stepping up and just kicking ass was incredible. Plus, the amount of leader-like speeches he gives to the supposed captain in this part is crazy. Miguel is the GOAT and deserved the captain spot. I will hold that till I die. Remember when Sam wanted to learn both styles of karate in season 4? Well, in this part of the show, she blows up at Johnny because she thinks her dad's way is the only way to beat Cobra Kai. So, I don't know why this came out of nowhere. Again, kind of proving my point that the show thinks Johnny needs to learn only from Daniel and not the other way around. It just made me annoyed at Sam for this. Also, the Daniel searching for Miyagi's dark history bits, I thought was kind of a waste of time. I'm not a fan of how they went about this. I think the burden the creators put on themselves making this season 15 episodes is evident here, because Daniel's side journey to unveil all of Miyagi's secrets could have been done way faster. It's not that I dislike the information given, it's just how long it takes. Also, the whole fake pregnancy scare for Johnny and Miguel felt so out of place, especially because she was perfectly fine and tells them to go back right away. Like, what was the point of all that journeying? It had great moments between Johnny and Miguel, but am I crazy to think they could have had these moments without this scare? Dimitri proved once again why he sucks ass in this part, because he spent this whole section of the show hating on Kenny for no reason. The manipulation of hating on my boy Kenny has got to be studied. However, the reintroduction to Silver was great, and the Iron Dragons are a cool dojo too. Like, I like seeing those guys get some depth added to them. However, the final fight sequence of this part is like actually insane. Seeing every dojo just go at it is hilarious. Like, is there no security whatsoever for this event? But aside from that, it's still so cool. I loved it from start to finish, and it building up to Quan dying by Kreese's knife was peak Cobra Kai insanity, and overall made up for a pretty lackluster part in the show. Throwing this on the tier list, I'm going C tier. It was honestly the only part of the show where I was groaning for most of it.
You keep disrespecting him, trying to prove that your way is better.
Shut up, bitch!
What a fucking series finale. I'm in utter shock this part is a part of the same season as the rest of season 6, because my god, is it pretty much perfect from start to finish. Every character gets a pretty lovely conclusion, from Johnny to Miguel to Daniel and Sam. Even side characters like Kreese and Silver get a proper conclusion. These final 5 episodes take its time to slowly say goodbye to these characters that have made up our lives for the past 7 years. And it's done in really heartfelt and deeply emotional ways. I mean, there's so many scenes that make me jump up and down, or make me want to shed a few happy tears, or make me want to bawl my eyes out and cry. For starters, one of my favorite moments this season was Johnny and Kreese's final moments together. Seeing Johnny break down in his arms was gut-wrenching. William Zabka is really underrated in the acting department because he really made me feel like this 50-year-old man was a teenager again with how he was talking to Kreese here. As much as I didn't love Kreese faking his death in season 5, I think his send-off here is incredible. I'm happy he made up with Johnny, and him going out like this, killing Silver, is so poetic, dude. How funny. However, I love how focused this part of the season was on Johnny specifically. They made him center focus, and it brought me right back to those first few seasons where he was the central focus always. I love seeing him take the leadership position back as the head of Cobra Kai with a newfound goal attributed to its cause. I love seeing him become a new dad and marry Carmen. Just so sweet and heartwarming. Watching him sensei both Miguel and Tori as they converted to Cobra Kai's again gave me chills. I literally cannot tell you how hyped I was seeing Miguel and Tori leading Cobra Kai. Like, my favorite male and female characters kicking ass was... and then winning against their opponents? Absolute cinema. God damn, what a crazy, intense, and beautiful tribute to their characters. But without a doubt, seeing Johnny Lawrence fight again in a tournament? Electric. I had no idea this was going to happen, but then Daniel becoming Johnny Sensei? Daniel learning to adopt a Cobra Kai attitude and wearing a Cobra Kai gi? Daniel then talks to Johnny like a Cobra Kai? Johnny then kicking some ass and takes Daniel's advice to not rush in like 84 and wins against Sensei Wolf? Cinema. My goat, Johnny Lawrence. I love seeing Johnny win, man. All those years of pain, him thinking he was a failure, to have a new family with the Diazes and forging relationships with the LaRussos, to now winning the Sakai Takai, the most prestigious karate championship. So poetic, man. And I loved how full circle the final moments of the show became. Watching Johnny teach some new kids karate, seeing Stingray back in action, it all just made me smile. Also, seeing Johnny and Daniel eating together as friends to close out the show? Ugh. This show ended perfectly. Robbie and Tori getting sponsorships to keep doing karate full time, Miguel going to Stanford, Sam going to Okinawa, even Hawk and Dimitri going to Cali together was great. It may be too perfect of an ending for some, but I don't know, man. I love it. I think a happy ending is great in this circumstance with how goofy and self-aware this show is. But like I said, Johnny was a wreck for decades. Why see him lose again when he deserves this win? I'm happy with how everything wrapped up in this part of the show. And without a doubt, this final part of season 6 is S tier. My god, man. What a way to end a legacy series. Cobra Kai proves why it's a legendary legacy sequel. Just look at this tier list. Barely any of the seasons are bad. It's corny, yes, but it embraces its cheese by not ruining its legacy characters for shock effect. It develops all of them, but introduces lovable and intriguing legacy characters. I'm devastated that I won't see any of these guys again, but I'll always have this show to go to whenever I need a Johnny Lawrence and Miguel Diaz sit-down talk special, or if I want to see legendary karate action moments, or beautifully authentic and heartwarming moments. Also, huge shout out to whoever did the soundtrack for this show. All of the music in this video is from the show, so if you like it, you'll love the music in this show. But man, I can't believe it's over. I'm even sad to see Daniel go- wait. He's coming back in May? Here's my final ranking of all the seasons and parts of Cobra Kai. Do you agree with me? Let me know down below. I really do love this show, and I'm so happy I got to watch this since 2018. Netflix really saved this show from obscurity by buying it from YouTube Red. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 10K, so hit that button before we get there. These videos also take a long time to make, so subscribe is very appreciated. Also, hit the notification bell so you get notified of these videos right when they drop. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok to keep up to date with me on the day-to-day. Also, check out my letterbox for early movie reviews from ya boy. Thanks to my members, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. That's all from me today, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.
Cobra Kai never dies.